Hi everyone, I'm Marissa Evangelista, a gallery assistant with MFA. And today we will be discussing Jacob Goldsmith's work. And he also has a piece in Voices of Our Ancestors, which you can see now at Circle Gallery. Jacob's passion for the arts went as far back as the night before he started first grade. That night, Jacob received a science textbook, and he was enamored with the beauty of nature that his book presented. And in this present day, through Jacob's photography, we see that his love of nature extends to the love of the world through the people and scenes featured in his work.
All right, thank you, Marissa, and thank you, Jacob, for agreeing to talk with us today. Marissa alluded to the format of the talks, and I think you know, because you said that you've seen a number of them, that we used to make them an hour long, but now we've redirected Will Talks to try and feature artists that are in exhibits that are currently on view at the MFA. But there's a lot to talk about because your art is so interesting and dynamic. Let's do this. Let's go immediately to your image that is included in the show. And remind everybody as we do that, that you can see this for yourself if you go to the Circle Gallery on State Circle in Annapolis while the current show is on view. Jacob, as a photographer and seeing that you have identified this as a photograph, I'm still not quite able to dissect it. Even the imagery. So will you walk us through the imagery and then explain what you were considering and what you're trying to convey in this particular work?
Thank you, Will, and thank you, Marissa. And this image is a direct result of a commission when I was in the Ivory Coast in 2022. And this beautiful family, one of the most loving family, commissioned me for a piece after they heard that I am from the US, even though originally I'm from the Ivory Coast. But they learned that I live in the US, an American artist. And I just bought this beautiful villa, where they have this floor to ceiling window, inviting the garden into the house. But the walls were blank. There was nothing on the wall. So they asked me to create a piece of artwork for them. And I was in the Ivory Coast for about 14 days. And I had a few days left, about 7 days or less left. And I decided to go out and look for a photograph for them. Let's go back to the story. I was at an event 2 weeks ago, and I met this wonderful couple, and I walked to the man and I introduced myself. I said, "You look familiar. Have we met before?" He said, "No, I do not think so, but I belong to this woman over there." And it was such a beautiful, probably one of the most poetic, loving sentence I've heard. I belong to this woman over there. And I think that the same goes with art. I have been looking for a photograph for a home, for a villa that will tell not only their story, but also my story as an artist. But primarily, I wanted to create something for them where they will feel like a sense of belonging and a center, a circle where they could all converge, them and the guests, and have wonderful conversation. And I also wanted to create a piece where photography and painting will merge to create this beautiful bridge. Hence the plein air palette you see. So it's a photograph that is almost like a painting. And my intent was to create a plein air, brush stroke like image that would be sort of like a gathering spot in their home. Such a beautiful home. And I wanted to make them a piece that would tell a beautiful story. And that's how this image was created, a result of direct commission. And I am very fortunate that it made it into Voices of Our Ancestors. And such a beautiful show. I was actually at MFA today. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Well, we're very glad. I had nothing to do with the judging of the show, but it's a stunning show, and your work is a great part of making that impression. Uh, Let me just ask a couple of very specific questions. That's a evocative and poetic way that you explained the significance of the image. Is this a number of photographs that you have digitally combined?
It is a single photograph, a single frame. And one of my favorite photographer, Henri Cartier-Bresson, said that Henri Cartier-Bresson philosophy was that a photograph, I think, shouldn't be cropped or anything like that. So even though I crop and I would sometimes retouch my photographs, but I try to stay within that philosophy, being able to create a single image that will tell a story without any cropping. And so this was a single frame photograph.
That's great self-discipline. I too am aware of his philosophy, but I'm not entirely sure that I'm true to that philosophy. I tend to edit in my photography mostly just cropping and perhaps the exposure and some of the contrast. Have you done more than that, or do you limit yourself into the digital processing of it? And by the way, do you use a digital camera?
Yes, I do use digital camera, and I will enhance the colors and bring the tone. I will adjust the tones of the colors. Just like you, I do not always stick to no cropping. Sometimes I will crop. And even now, getting into a new space where I'm now starting to paint and add 3D on my 3D effect mix material to my photograph, which will be the next level.
Well, that's great, and I'm not to the point where I'm going to add any other materials into my. I'm a photographer and a photographer only. But Marissa, don't we have a shot of Jacob's work hanging in the exhibition?
We do. Let me get that up.
This, I think, really does the image and your work justice. And of course, it helps us remind everyone listening and watching that this is part of the Voices of Our Ancestors exhibition. And this is a new attempt, the exhibition by the MFA to partner with another organization, in this case, an organization that is composed of African American or Black artists, and it's a new step forward to us. I mean, all one has to do is look at this image and see the quality of the work that is typical of this wonderful show. So, Jacob, I'm glad that you're part of that. But I wanted to look at the image also because here we are in the 21st century, already a quarter of the way through that century. And it's unusual for contemporary artists, in my experience, to frame their work quite in the way that you have. That's a rather traditional frame. Can you say a little bit about why you chose that as the way you wanted to present your work?
I love the beauty. I love modernity, but I also love the beauty of the classical thing, the classical beauty. And when it comes down to creating art, I am always in search of beauty. I do not know what true beauty is. And that alone makes me search for beauty. And I'm always curious what's beautiful to me and what's beautiful to others. And so I'm always playing with materials and with medium in search of that beauty, which is a beautiful quest, because I think that beauty has a different meaning for everyone. That lends me to mixing material or the classic and the modern, even sometimes the avant-garde.
Well, thank you for explaining that so clearly. And it's touched a chord with me because your emphasis on beauty as what you're seeking, and the way that that leads you in the creative process and the decisions that you've made. I very much appreciate that, because I think many artists, for at least the last 100 years, have forgotten that the visual arts is about beauty. It doesn't have to be. Not everyone takes that approach, but I'm very appreciative of the what you've done and the way that you've expressed that. And I share basically that same approach myself. Now, while we're talking about this painting and its presentation, I want to turn our attention momentarily. Your art is very diverse. You're very eclectic. And one of the demonstrations of that is that wonderful jacket that you're wearing. And on your website, you have a number of jackets that you've created and that you display and that you offer as part of your productive artistic work. Can you say a little bit about, let's just, because of the time limitations, just say a little bit about that particular jacket and how you see that fitting in to your whole sphere of creativity?
As a teenager, I used to design my own clothes. I used to make my own clothes, and it's almost like writing a song. I was in a band, and I used to write songs. When I write a song, it's a poem. It's a poem that I'm writing, and it's a self-expression. So the jacket was born from a place of self-expression, but also a place of marketing as an artist. I once heard this story. I can't quite remember which artist it was. It might have been Michelangelo. I'm not sure. But they were assigned to paint the ceiling of the church or Vatican. I can't quite remember. And they were scheduled to bring in the sample of the work for the interview process. And one of the artists, can't quite remember the name, I could be wrong, I've got to look it up, came the night before and painted the ceiling. So the day of, when all artists came in for the interview, the artist didn't have any work in his hand to show. So they asked me, everyone else, their work in the hand, where is yours? I said, mine is up there, it's on the ceiling. So, wow, you're hired. So as an artist, self-expression is perhaps my first medium. And it is one of the ways for me to express myself as an artist, to show my work as an artist, to always carry my work as an artist.
Your work is even more diverse than we've, of course, been able to show in such a short conversation. And I hope that we can invite you back for another brief conversation before the Voices of Our Ancestors exhibition closes in a month or so. Are you willing to do that?
Absolutely, yes.
I would like, when you come back, to mostly concentrate on things like the jackets and your other work that's not represented by the piece in the exhibition, okay? There'll be a little more to show the kind of sophistication and creativity of the artists in the exhibition by using you as an example of that, okay?
Thank you.
And then you had one of the photographs that was prepared today for the PowerPoint, and I noticed those small works on the wall, but I can't really, they're too small for me to understand them just by looking. So maybe something like that, something else that would be sort of a third dimension of your work that we can talk about also.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of the day. I hope you enjoy the heat. I don't. I hope somebody does. All right. Have a nice evening, Jacob and Marissa. Again, thanks for your help, and have a pleasant evening also.
Of course. All right. I hope everyone stays tuned for part 2. Thank you both again so much.
All right. Take care.